I led the show today with the comment, you cannot think about politics right now. Politics would say, you just let him go. Let Joe Biden be the candidate. But it's wrong for the country and dangerous. Our enemies watched his performance last night, and we are very vulnerable. Just remember, constitutionally, only the Secretary of Defense, the guy who brought us, all of our wonderful exits from Afghanistan and all of the great things our military's been doing lately, only he can advise the president if the football is needed. Only he. And read Annie Jacobson's book, Nuclear War. There's no way this guy could handle it. There's no way. And we are insanely close to somebody doing something stupid. We cannot have him as president. Now, Chip Roy, I was glad to see this morning. He's already on it, and he is. Are you putting a bill through, or are you just trying to gather people to encourage the 25th Amendment?
Good morning, Glenn. Yeah, first of all, let me just co-sponsor everything you just said. We all have our political biases. I am a strong supporter of President Trump. I thought he did great last night in terms of laying out his views on the border and all these issues. Obviously, those of us who follow politics have known that President Biden has been diminishing, that he has been demonstrating his clear incapacity and inability to carry out the powers and duties of the office. I think last night it was on full display in a way that was much more apparent. And to your point, it was a clear demonstration to our enemies, and the result of which is a weakened and endangered American people. Not just the nuclear football, not just the codes, not just the decision making about those really perilous issues, but just things like handling the border and the extent to which people are coming in and killing Americans, and the extent to which we're not pushing on Putin the right way. We're getting into the risk of World War III in Ukraine. The extent to which we're siding with the Palestinians over Israel. All of these things are a direct consequence of his complete diminished capacity, which, again, was on full display last night. So I am filing either today or early next week a very simple resolution that lays out those observations and then simply says that we're calling on the Vice President of the United States to exercise her authority under Section 4 of the 25th Amendment of the Constitution to, find that the president can no longer carry out the duties of the office. And we believe that, she convened the cabinet to do that. We believe that that's important. And this is a non-political statement. I happen to believe that it is beneficial for us politically to be strong on standing up for the Constitution and defending the country and calling it like we see it. Yes. And I think if the Democrats are going to go try to pull him down, they're going to do that anyway. We should not view it through those lenses. That is blindness. I think it is. We have 7 months at least under this guy and a potential of longer. If you let him run for re-election and he happens to win, we can't allow that. So I think President Trump is perfectly capable of defeating him or Kamala Harris or anyone else they want to throw up. And I think we should right now focus on the fact he is unable to faithfully discharge the duties that he has been empowered to do as commander-in-chief.
I think the political operatives on the left are so cynical and callous and, power hungry that they won't understand that a lot of Americans on both sides of the aisle watched that last night and were frightened by what they saw, but also sad. This was extraordinary to watch the President of the United States. And I watched it last night, and I'm like, if he's declined this much since the State of the Union, what is he going to be like in November or January? He's not going to be all there. And what does that mean for us? And look, for me personally, if I wanted to look at all of this politically, I would say let him run, because Donald Trump, it will be such a massive victory for Donald Trump because nobody could vote for him. And I think Kamala Harris, is not a rocket scientist, and I disagree with her on almost everything. And I don't want her to be president either. But what I do know, it's bad for America if he continues another day. It is bad for my children's safety and your children's safety. But, everybody in the White House knew it. His cabinet, they know about it. And only Kamala Harris, who is unpopular in the White House, can instigate that. And she has to then go to the cabinet, and you have to, a majority of the cabinet has to say, yes, we agree with you.
Correct.
They're running the show. They're running the presidency. Why would they give up that power?
Well, that's a very good point, which is to some degree the impetus behind my desire to put forward a resolution. Now, look, there are questions about whether it's, can be what we call privilege, whether I can even get a vote on it. There's questions, I'll let the body kind of work its will a little bit. I think it's important to file it. I think it's important for at least one member of Congress, maybe others, to make the statement that we believe that the president is unfit to carry out the duties as commander-in-chief. And to put pressure on them. And look, if they're going to be political, and if they're going to rally around and say, "Hey, man, we're the cabinet secretaries. We've got all the power now. We're calling the shots." The White House, politicals are all calling the shots, and Biden's just going along for it. If they're going to be that cynical, then that'll play out politically. And I've done what I think I should do as a man and as an American and as a member of Congress and who has an oath under the Constitution. If not. Then fine. If they go carry it out and they go proceed under the 25th, it's not like I'm going to be doing jumping jacks and jumping down excited about Kamala Harris being the one making these decisions. Good grief. She's got massive deficiencies in terms of her capabilities and obviously her ideology. But there's a clear distinction, right? And the president is not even the president that he was when he was elected. In 2020. And, I think that when we look at this, as Americans, as you put it, Glenn, we have an obligation to make that clear. But process-wise for your listeners, the way the 25th Amendment works, the vice president has to make the call to convene the cabinet. A majority would then send a letter up to Congress, and they would say, we're assuming the duties. The president can then respond and say, "No, you're not. I'm actually, competent," and they, basically challenge it. Then the cabinet can come back and say, "Nope, you're not," and then the Congress votes. That's basically the way that works. Congress can actually pass a law that would create a different body to do that. We've never done that.
I don't like that. I like the way the 25th Amendment was written, but that assumes that you have Americans all that love country more than self in that cabinet. And it has to come from the cabinet and the vice president. That way, otherwise, you'll get, the Republicans saying, well, that's another form of impeachment. Let's get him on this. Or you'll have the Democrats doing that. Somebody will abuse this. You didn't expect that the cabinet would be full of people that were just so power hungry and really didn't respect the office of the president and real, true, as they say, democracy or the republic. You never expected that there would be a group of people that would do that, but that's what they're doing right now if they don't stand up. Is there any Democrat that would join you on this? Because last night I heard, even Joe Scarborough said today he's got to step down.
It is very clear and widespread. When you have lost the New York Times, when you have lost Joe Scarborough, when you have lost Democratic pundits on CNN, when you're watching them basically, they actually went beyond crying and depression. They went straight to real concern. And what I believe actually is opportunity. I believe that Democrats have now known this for a long time. They've been guilty of trying to hide it from the American people. They've been using him as a puppet, as a Manchurian candidate to drive their radical agenda. That they've done that and on purpose, and that now they saw that the gig was up, that Trump could win. They were hoping they could keep the Manchurian candidate in place. They panicked, and they said, you know what? But it was a controlled panic. Let's do this. Let's have an early debate. We'll see how he performs. He didn't perform. Now they have what they need to try to push him aside and, frankly, end run Kamala. That's what I actually think. I think part of this is trying to end run Kamala with someone that they can pass and sell. Maybe it's a Gretchen Whitmer. Maybe it's somebody else, and come in and try to rally them around to come up and beat President Trump. So for me, I think we have a constitutional duty to protect the Constitution. He's incapable, and he's president for at least 4 months. I think we should force Democrats to own it and make a choice. Do you agree? Do you believe he's competent? And number three, look, let's make them choose. And, if Kamala's going to exercise this, then she would become the president. And they got to decide if they're going to rally around her or not, or whether they try to end run her with someone else at the convention. I think it puts them in a box. And I don't think Kamala is the best candidate. So, we can see how it all plays out. But our duty is to the Constitution first.
So, again, I go back to ask you, are you in Washington now? Have you heard anybody that is talking on the other side about, hey, this is a real problem. We got to get serious about this?
Well, I don't want to, break confidences, but I've definitively had conversations with some of my Democrat colleagues and others, and they have very real concerns. People that wouldn't ordinarily say it have very real concerns. And look, I just saw something out on social media, take it for what it's worth, with someone saying that they're hearing that Ron Klain and Barack Obama are having a sit down with the president today. Jill Biden is the one that is saying that she insists that he runs, and that Kamala is furious she's not being considered as a replacement. Whitmer and Newsom are. Who knows?
That's crazy.
Jill Biden is the one that's trying to hold him up, and Biden is himself arrogant, and he doesn't even know what's going on. So, if they're going to rely on Biden to step down at the convention, then that may not even happen. Maybe that's good electorally for Republicans and for President Trump and for us to take our country back. And look, I'm willing to entertain that notion, but I still think we have a duty right now. The guy has a nuclear code. He should not be commander-in-chief right this second. Every second is a second in which we're in danger.
You're exactly right. Chip Roy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. God bless.